Well, good evening, everyone. And so we're going to start with a meditation just to settle our minds and bring us back into focus from all the things you've been doing today. So just settling your body and just watching your breath, not trying to change anything, just becoming present, just being aware of your breath gently coming and going, your chest expanding and contracting, allowing your mind to become calm and present. And then creating an altruistic motivation for all of our actions is very important, but particularly for Dharma. I think that we're spending this time now not just for our own individual benefit, but we're trying to meditate and listen and develop the mind to become kinder and wiser, better able to benefit ourselves and to benefit others. So bringing your attention to your physical body, just focus on the lowermost parts of your body, the parts of your body in contact with the earth element. So if you're sitting in a chair, your feet on the floor, your rear end on the seat, where you feel that hard, firm support. And if you're sitting cross-legged, whatever parts of your body are being supported by the cushion. And so when we're in contact with this, we can feel these parts, we can feel all the weight of our physical form being supported by that hard earth element, if you like. And we can be aware of that earthy character, or if you like, of the body, the parts of our body that are supporting the weight of all the rest of our body. So also, while you're focused there, just pay attention to the nature of your mind, or the tone, the consciousness. What's it feel like, your mind focused on those parts of your body? And then slowly and mindfully, gently move your attention upward, paying very close attention to every aspect of your body. Be aware of any tension and try and relax that. Different sensations of coolness or warmth, places where one part of your body is touching another. So just gently being aware of your legs, your hips, your hands in your lap, being aware of the curves of your body's silhouette. Upward gently through your belly, your waist, the curves of your arms. Being aware of the rising and falling of your chest with each breath. curves of your shoulders, and particularly in these parts, paying special attention to where tension might be. We often carry tension in the shoulders, the neck, in the jaw. So if there's tension there, just let those areas relax. Have your teeth a little bit apart. Further upward, being aware of the tilt of your head, all the way up until you reach the very crown, the topmost part of your head. So just allowing your attention to rest there for a moment and be aware of that character or that nature, the tone of your mind focused here. Does it feel any different concentrating here to when you're focused on those lowermost supporting parts of the body? Now slowly, in the same way, just letting your attention move down, back through your body, being aware of the same things, the curves of silhouette, being aware of any tension that might have built up, down through your shoulders, your chest, your belly and your legs. Bringing your attention all the way back down to the cushion, the chair, where your body's in contact with that supporting earth element. Being aware of the lowermost parts of your body that are supporting all the other weight of your body. And then checking once again the nature or character of your mind focused there. And is it different to when your attention was at the top of your head? And then we'll dedicate all the positive energy and whatever insights you might have had to the well-being and happiness of all living beings. And when you're ready, just slowly open your eyes. So in this exercise, it said that, we can learn a little bit about how much the body and mind work together, and sometimes people notice no difference at all about how their mind is from focused on the lowermost parts to the crown of the head, and some people think it feels lighter or airier when focused at the crown, more grounded or stable at the earth level, the supporting parts, but some people it's the other way around, which is a bit odd. And so sometimes people find this useful for managing if their mind's a bit distracted, sort of just running through that sort of body scan to try and get it all in line and focused and use the mind to settle the body. So were there any questions from last week? No. Yes, no.
Well, I mean, there's just the general state of the world, isn't there? Venerable, I mean, your course is very timely.
Yes, it's a pretty, there's any number of things we could get stressed about, but our stress won't change the situation overseas or even here. Yeah, so, well, America's overseas to us. You guys have got a whole different thing going on today to what you had yesterday. Yeah, sorry about my geographical shift. So today we're going to look at loving kindness. So sometimes remembering that, what the state of mind we would like to attain is, Ksanti, patience, tolerance, the art of being able to maintain a calm, positive approach, whatever it is that's going on, whether it's going our way, some other way, just in general. And so it's said that with patience and kindness, this is the antidote to us responding with anger to different things, the two together. And so the total antidote would be where we don't become impatient and we don't become unkind. So loving kindness, it's often translated as this attitude wishing that all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness for everlasting happiness. So everlasting happiness would be when we achieve nirvana or enlightenment. But recently, the last few years, the Dalai Lama in particular has also been translating this as affectionate concern because, especially in English, we love ice cream, we love our kids, we love our job. Love is a very generic sort of used for many, many things. We love our new car, all sorts of things. So affectionate concern towards others possibly is more useful, but loving kindness is also sounds very encouraging. Yeah. So loving kindness is the first of the four immeasurable thoughts. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. So it's not that we can necessarily provide that for all living beings, but we can actively try to avoid doing actions that bring unhappiness. We can do our very best to avoid that. And, it's a tricky thing. People might say, your child might say, it's very unkind. You took me to the dentist and he hurt me or whatever. But it's out of the wish that they not finish up with a great big hole and having the teeth removed and whatever. So loving kindness and compassion, it's like two sides of the same coin. Geshe Sultram says we can cultivate either one first and the other one will follow. So they're both developed in dependence on living beings. Being kind to our car or our desk, it's not quite the same. Um, it's to do with living beings. And so many of our teachers, they encourage us to develop loving kindness by remembering the kindness of other living beings towards us. Sometimes we feel they're very unkind, and sometimes they might be. But particularly as humans, from the moment we're born, we only survive due to the kindness of others. Newborn babies, they can't find food, they can't do all sorts of things. And so we would not survive without the kindness of others. And so there are some little creatures that survive on their own. Turtles, bush turkeys where I live, people in Australia, most of us know what turkeys or brush turkeys are. They're just born from the egg and then the parents completely ignore them, as opposed to like domestic hens and chooks who are very protective of their little chickens. But yeah, so for humans, we have to have care and a lot of it for quite a long time. We need the support and kindness of others. Sometimes that can be a biological parent, but that's not always possible. So later on in life, at any time in our life, when we get sick, and then when we get old, towards the end of our life, then we're again dependent on the kindness of others. And so if we see that at the beginning of our life and the end of our life, we need this kindness from others and we're dependent on that, His Holiness says, isn't it then reasonable that we provide that kindness to others when we are able, in whatever way we're able, that we think about that it's not, it's the particular person who's being unkind to you at the moment at a previous time or in a previous life might have been very kind to you. We can't see that, our past lives and things like that. And so the middle of our lives or whenever in our lives, we might have the capacity to, even it's only little things, smiling at someone, having a conversation with them, just having kindness, having the wish to be kind. And so if we neglect our opportunities so often to be kind, why is it that we don't consider if others have been kind to us? We might even know, I don't know who made my car or who made my clothes I'm wearing or whatever, but I benefit from their, from their actions. And so it's not that we just don't know all the people who've done things that helped us build the houses we're in or whatever, but we still benefit from their actions. So Mother Teresa, the nun who spent a lot of time in India helping poor people in India, and even though she's died, her organisation still goes on. Says the poverty in the West is loneliness and indifference. There's a hunger for ordinary bread, and there's a hunger for love, for kindness, for thoughtfulness, and this is the great poverty that makes people suffer so much. And in particular, lately, the loneliness aspect of some people's lives is being recognised. I guess it was exacerbated a bit during the lockdowns of COVID, but yeah, there's more and more people putting emphasis on trying to have people have regular contact and things like that, so people aren't so lonely. So in Australia and in many Western countries, there's not so much the hunger for bread, but many people are still desperate for someone to show them some level of kindness, some level of affectionate concern. It doesn't mean you necessarily have to impose yourself on others, but a smile, the kind word, and the lack of this kindness, these qualities that we value so much. When people are kind to us, when people help us, then we appreciate that. And it's a lack of these that is considered that we have these high levels of stress and sometimes mental illness that sometimes lead to these angry confrontations. People are so upset that others are, being kind to each other and ignoring them, whatever it might be. So Maya Angelou, who's from the USA, I'm not sure a lot about what she taught, but one of the things she taught was, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So, did we make people feel comfortable, accepted? Did we make them feel uncomfortable and rejected? So, kindness knows when it's appropriate to do or say something. And often it's in those small little details. So, having a bit of eye contact with people, a smile, a telephone call to remember those who are alone, whatever it might be. So sometimes it seems like then we're putting others' happiness ahead of our own happiness. But in reality, for those who do volunteer work or check in with their neighbours or whatever it is that's appropriate in their situation, they often find that there's a lot of happiness and reward from that sort of thing. There's an internal satisfaction, but often people are embarrassingly grateful that you go and, make some contact or whatever it might be. So it doesn't have to be a soft, fuzzy thing. It can be just wanting the best for someone who, it might involve a teacher or a parent speaking quite strongly with someone, but it's with a loving attitude, a wish that the child or whoever it might be, find a way to stop doing the things that are sort of bringing them harm or discomfort, and encouraging them to look at the positive things in their life and make good use of those, their opportunities. So are there any questions? I haven't written in here when I should ask questions. Last time I'd written it in off the test.
Venerable, I have a question for you. Hello, everyone. I'm the mystery person, just out of shot on the camera. I get a little suspicious about kindness because, when you actually really are feeling lonely or need some kindness or human contact, that kind of neediness leaves you really open. And so that, we get all of these scams and things because people just respond to just a little tiny bit of kindness. But then how can you tell if it is kindness or if it's just someone taking advantage of your vulnerability?
That's unfortunately become much more now that we've got online contact. There always used to be con men, or it was called con men. I'm sure there were con women as well, but people who would try to take advantage of those who they thought they could, whether it was because they were sick and they were carers or because whatever, and that goes on as well still. And it's very difficult sometimes to know people's their underlying motivation. Are they being kind because they're wishing for your happiness, or are they being kind so they can, take advantage in some way? And yeah, I think it's difficult to fear to but I guess we need to be aware of what position we put ourselves in. Just because someone's being kind and offers to take us to the bank, it doesn't mean three trips to the bank later they say, "Oh, I could just take your bank book and do that." We would be a bit suspicious of that level of kindness, probably, unless we knew the person pretty well by then. So yeah, we do have to have a level of wariness, but if someone offers to buy us a coffee or whatever, that's fine, and we can buy coffee next time. But we need to be wary when it comes to things like them helping us fill out our bank forms and things like that.
So I suppose like just being able to recognize kindness, would that get easier if like you yourself were more kind, then you can recognize kindness easier? Is that
Oh, maybe there are some people who are pretty good at pretending something. There are people who, um, manage to, in some ways or another, support themselves pretty much by conning
Mm.
people out of something. And, it's said that Australians lose billions to scammers. And I'm sure it's not just Australians, but prior to having all the internet access and things, I mean, we give people our phone number because we can block that. We wouldn't just give them our bank account number the
Mm.
first time we meet them. We might say, here's my phone number, but we don't say, oh, and here's my bank details.
Mm.
So we do have a level of wariness, and sometimes it's a feeling that we need to maybe go a bit slower or be a bit more cautious in certain circumstances. But we still don't have to be unkind because we really don't know. We can still have the wish that they find happiness, just not out of our bank account.
Mm. Thank you. That's helpful.
So sometimes people ask, what about the difference between loving kindness and attachment? Because we're encouraged to abandon attachment. It's one of the three poisonous minds. And so instead of attachment, to have loving kindness. And so often they seem so similar. Attachment sees a person or an object as attractive and then overemphasizes that attractiveness, all the positive qualities, and then only sees them, but they don't see the less positive qualities, and they become, or sometimes outright negative, and they become more obvious later due to various changes and things like that. And so this showing all the positive qualities, this is how um, people can use that in a negative sort of way to attract someone who they see as rich or whatever, that they can get some advantage from. But when those things change, then this can quickly lead to anger. If you think someone's entirely wonderful and then they steal something or whatever, then you can get quite angry about it because you feel like you've been deluded. And we have been deluded, but it's our own delusions that we just look at all the positive qualities and thought this person's wonderful. And they may well be wonderful, but um, if things change, it's really our um, our that we've been deluded and by the by some aspect that we've focused on. We haven't looked at everything. And often that happens early on in a relationship or a friendship. We don't really know the person well. And then over time, we see that, some of the imperfections. So even if someone dints our new car or our favourite old thing or whatever, it's about, we often feel, oh, but that was mine. And so that's the thing about attachment. Attachment, this is about my happiness. That was my grandmother's cup, my. And loving kindness is about the happiness of others. And of course, the two are often very mixed. If your child, your partner, your parents are happy, just their happiness makes you happy because you want them to be happy. But sometimes the two are very mixed and directed, to the same person. And one example that one of our teachers gave said, it's like a parent who has a child. They have great love and concern for the child. They want them to be happy and healthy and do well. And then a report comes from the school that says they're not paying attention in class, they're not listening properly, they're not behaving well, and their test results are going down. They're failing simple questions. And so, to the extent that the parent thinks, oh my goodness, what can I do to help? Maybe the child needs a hearing test. Maybe they're not hearing properly. Maybe they need some extra tuition. What can I do to help my child? This is the loving kindness. To the extent to which the parent thinks, oh my goodness, how does this reflect on me as a parent? Will people think I'm a bad parent? Will they think that I don't care about my child or my child's future? What about me, my concerns? So this is a measure of the attachment. And so, of course, they're mixed. They're mixed. And in different situations, different things come up. But the two, they're very similar. But one is mainly focused on the other person, one's mainly focused on myself. And so loving kindness can be influenced. If it's never influenced by attachment, then it never goes out to even our friends and our family. So it's like if we've just got attachment, it doesn't reach to anywhere else. If we have loving kindness, it can reach out to many, many beings, even people we don't know. But if we've got a lot of attachment, even people we don't know, well, they're from that country or that religion or what, we can find reasons why we don't, extend our kind thoughts, even to people we don't know, because of some difference to us. So in terms of loving kindness and what we can do, we can have loving thoughts to people, but sometimes we feel, I do wish you had happiness, but I feel incapable. There's nothing I can do that contributes to your happiness. So a few years ago, Queen Elizabeth was giving her annual Christmas speech or something, and she quoted Mother Teresa saying, "We can't all do great things, but we can do small things with great love." And that's what we're capable of at this time in this life. So one of the students in one of the Buddhist centres, PMT centres, asked the teacher, this great loving kindness to all sentient beings, how can I possibly even start? And the teacher said, it was a guess, I don't know which one. All the living beings you come into contact with today, that's all the living beings you focus on today. All the living beings you come in contact with tomorrow, then that's that's for that day, that's all the living beings. So we have kind thoughts towards every living being that exists, but what we can actually do, who we can actually make a cup of tea for, or whatever it is that contributes to their happiness, then it's those that we actually come into contact with on any given day.
There's a question from Angela. Angela, do you want to unmute?
Yes, I've done that.
Oh, go for it.
Venerable Lhagsam, hello. Miffy, hello. Everyone else, hello. So I do have a question. I've been wondering when or how to ask this, and I think perhaps this is a good time. So I have a sister in a care home in England, and I'm lucky enough to be able to talk to her because she has something called Alexa in her room. Her husband set it up. She just has to, I dial, and she can just take the call. She doesn't have to remember the number or anything. And it's actually a great joy for me to talk to her, and I ring about once or twice a week. But there are two sides to this. One is a bit like what you've just said, like, what's the best thing I can do for her? I can't make her happy. She's in a miserable situation. She's kind of, she's got brain damage. She's kind of locked up and very dependent on others to be able to go out and things like that. But she has enough brain capacity to kind of know that this isn't a very happy and a rather powerless situation. But the other thing is that she can really get angry, not with me, but she can get very, very angry. And I mean, obviously, and I just want to support her. So I guess it's two things. What's the best thing I can do? just from my side, to like kind thoughts and things, is that what's the best practice I can do to help her? Help her. I mean, when I say help her, I mean to not, when she's angry, what's the best thing I can do? Because just telling her not to be, it doesn't work. She's angry and she needs to be angry at that moment. So, yeah, I would love some advice and some skills.
Well, it's very difficult in a situation with someone who has brain damage because they can't necessarily reason and things like that in the same way. And if you know there's a particular thing that actually can divert her, you can sometimes do that with it. And it's probably easier when you're physically there. If you can divert her thinking to times when you were children together or something, at a time when she was happier. And sometimes people well, probably more if you physically you can see them, you can identify when a particular topic or a particular situation, or just by a change in their face or their facial expression or their body postures, you can see when they're starting to get tense and maybe change the subject or whatever. But it can be very difficult because, I mean, she's it sounds like a situation none of us want to be in. And I don't know if you can see her face or anything like that, but maybe because you know her well, when she's starting to get agitated, you can hear a change in her voice or the topic she's talking about or something. And I mean, she's fortunate in she has a husband who's able to help you have the phone conversations and your concern. But yeah, it's not a situation many of us would be happy to be in. And even sometimes people with brain damage in the prior to whatever caused that, they're not prone to being easily upset. But the after an accident or something, people can become quite affected by that in many ways, and the things that upset them change and things like that. So that can be hard to deal with. In terms, do you see her or does she see you with Alexia?
Alexa.
Alexa?
It's like Google Nest.
Oh, yes, that
machine.
Oh no, I didn't know if it was like FaceTime that you could actually see her face. No.
Angela, you have to unmute you.
Yes, sorry, I hadn't realised I'd muted again. Yes, I can. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, I can see her. Well, she can see me, but she doesn't always get in the picture.
Right.
In theory, I can see her, but it seems to matter more to her that she can see me. So I've given up trying to get her,
right.
because she has to move. She can't move the camera. So,
right.
But she's so happy I ring, and I went over there for 6 weeks just recently because she had a real sort of a deterioration, to try and understand what the situation is and what's going on. And so that was really helpful to know that, to understand better what was going on there. And I think the diversion is really good. It's just when I can't divert her and she gets angry, I don't know whether just to kind of let her ride that out. I try and do Tonglen. I don't know if that's, or whether is it better to just send loving thoughts?
Well, if you can do Tonglen, especially for some people, having an opportunity to vent their dissatisfaction, their distractions, their whatever it is, the effect of the brain damage if she tries to focus on something and she can't or whatever. Sometimes if people have an opportunity to just say those things, it can help them feel that, at least someone else knows and they're not sort of disregarded or put aside because they've got these feelings, because if they never have an opportunity to express those feelings, then it can start to make them feel like nobody really cares about me, but they don't care about really what I feel and what I'm experiencing. But if it just goes on and on and on, people can become more caught up in that and become angrier. So I'm not sure what the situation is with your sister.
It varies. Actually,
Yeah,
sometimes it's exactly like you say. She gets it off her chest, and then she'll sort of, and then she'll say, something really quite wise. And then other times, I think distracting her is very useful. Talking about happier times and things. That when I was over there, that was so easy to do, and we could go out, and we could go walking and things. No, I think that and I wonder, if I think you've kind of nailed it, actually. I'm wondering if by giving her this opportunity to talk, but if it doesn't seem to calm down, am I making things worse? I think maybe that's, yeah.
And I mean, her husband might be able to tell you that, but when you were with her, did she have one of these outbursts when you were with her, when she was angry? Probably not.
Not so much, because I think just being able to go out and walk on the grass and she's just by a beach, it's all that. That was so important for her. And I think it's not being able to do that.
So is there anyone? Yeah.
No.
So is there anyone else around? No. So
no.
Sometimes in Australia there are, and it depends, there are different levels of care, and it's more, I guess, when people are still well enough to be home, there are services that will take people for a walk or a drive to the beach or something. But I think that's supporting people to stay at home. But so I don't
they
know.
do. It's just hard to get the funding, to be honest.
Yeah,
is what I gather.
Well, I think so. Yeah, I think it is difficult.
Just to chuck in a 2 cents worth here, you can actually on YouTube just go for a walk on the beach, or a very leisurely stroll around Venice or something, and you just
Can we
go on the stroll together? Yeah, it's a very cheap way to have a really nice look at a city, and so you can kind of go out and have an adventure without actually having to leave the room, and you can share it together.
I think that's really nice.
I think I need to know more about this. I'll
and I think
follow up.
And see if she can see you. Maybe you can hold the phone or the computer up, and you can just go for a walk together. But I have done that in meditation with people who are, well, one was a lady who wanted to see me, a Buddhist nun, and didn't want to talk anything about Buddhism quite firmly. But she did want meditation, and she could only have she was very sick, and the concentration was, 5 to 10 minutes max, that before she needed to move or something. And so we did a meditation where we went for a walk and things like that. And
well,
so
I
don't know that your sister would want the meditation, but in terms of the YouTube walk around, any old beach will probably do, really.
I think I'll be more creative. That's really helpful. I won't worry so much. And I won't worry so much that she does get angry, because often she kind of vents it, and then it ends.
Yeah. And sometimes it does, for some people, release the tension, just letting that frustrations out. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you both.
Good question. Very good question. Though sometimes it's said that we need to love ourselves before we can love others, but many people I've found over time are very critical of themselves. They're very critical of, I didn't do this properly, da 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 da, I could have done that. And I've said to people, if someone else did that, you would never talk about them like that. Oh, no, no, no. And so we have to be careful about our judgment of ourselves as well. And they will acknowledge very firmly that they would never say that about someone else, only themselves. So, loving kindness is also to be directed to ourselves. It's all living beings, not all living beings except that one person you are. The Buddha never said that. So we need to be kind when we make mistakes, because we do make mistakes. We need to be kind about that and think, well, what would be a different way I could do that next time? A little bit like the meditation at the end of the first session. How could we do that differently? And not be overly judgmental with ourselves. And so we just sometimes have to, just really contemplate. If we're going to wait for others to be kind to us before we're going to be kind to them, we might be waiting for a very long time. So sometimes if we make the first kind gesture, then, other people respond to that. And, there's a much better interaction between us then. So then another thing, apart from the attachment and the difference between attachment and loving kindness, often in the teachings, there's we need to avoid self-cherishing. So, kindness towards ourselves can also sounds a bit like self-cherishing, doesn't it? So in the teachings it said sometimes, and Lama Zopa said, self-cherishing is the door to all suffering, cherishing others is the door to all happiness. So if we're not careful with this, I'm not questioning that. That's very much true. It's just that if we're not careful, we misconstrue that and mix self-cherishing up with self-care. So if we don't care for ourselves, if we don't care for, getting our teeth fixed or going to the doctor when we're unwell or looking after ourselves, eating, regularly and good food, we come to a stage where we have so many different health problems or obstacles to doing things that we're not kind to ourselves, we're not kind to others, And so they're two different things. So we need to just be very careful and do whatever we can to be healthy and well, and then able to contribute that to others. So self-cherishing here means doing things that are selfish, if you like, but at the expense of others. So, or while we neglect others. So it's not eating our favourite chocolate. It's if we eat all the chocolate, and where there are others who would like some chocolate and get none, or whatever. That's a very facetious sort of thing to say, but when we do all the things that are kind to us, all the things we think we want, and we're neglecting others, when we have a capacity to help them, sometimes we don't have a capacity to help. That is often true. Someone needs to see a doctor, we're not a doctor. Someone needs food and there's none around. But sometimes we do have the capacity to help. So using those opportunities when we can. And so we have to be careful for our own side that we're not just focused on me, about me in this lifetime, but being what's sometimes called wisely selfish, working for the welfare and benefit of others as well as ourselves. And by doing these, cherishing others, we're achieving our long-term welfare, creating positive karma, doing virtuous actions, and we're also, our loving kindness is expressed outwardly towards others. Often there's limited opportunity, but we can have that attitude. The more we develop our loving kindness, then we've got the attitude of wanting to help. When the opportunity arises where we can, then we don't have to hesitate and think, is this the right thing, the wrong thing, whatever. If we have the means and the opportunity arises, then we don't have to have an internal debate about it. So this is one of the reasons for developing our loving kindness. And so Rishi Sultran says, because all our efforts, all our happiness comes from others and their efforts to provide comfort for us, all the products we use that we own, whatever, these come to us from others. And when we use them and enjoy them, food, clothes, good coffee, whatever it might be, then we're interdependent. This is the interdependence with others. So imagine if we had to be totally independent. No desk, no internet, no buildings. That we had to create our own. This would be a very difficult life. Very little opportunity to be thinking about our spiritual practice because we've got to run around and find, a way to be cool, to be hot, to survive, and probably no coffee at all. So, if we think we're independent, and there are some things we do independently, of course, but if we think we're totally independent, then of course we're cherishing ourselves because we're the only ones looking after ourselves. But Geshe Zopa says it's a mistake to think like this. That we don't see all the others who've provided happiness for us in this life. So we can assume it was everyone, most of the people in this life and in other lives. There's no real way we can point to one person and say, in all my however many lifetimes, you've never been kind to me. That person doesn't exist. We're just making that up. So a little bit of chalkboard wisdom. Do you all know what that is? Where there's a chalkboard outside a shop or a cafe. So I saw on one of them and it was so nice. I wrote it down. It says, in a world where you can be anything, be kind. So this is a nice thought. If we can, there's this saying, sorry, it's from America, isn't it? You can be the president of the United States. At the moment, who'd want to be? That's a thought. Yeah. So then in looking at ways to increase our loving kindness, we need to remember this. This is the opposite of our destructive thoughts, our anger that brings harm to others, but also to ourselves. If we can say a kind word or an unkind word, why would we say the unkind one? But often that's what springs to mind. Then we need to remind ourselves that without doubt, we have the potential to fully develop our loving kindness towards all beings. And in this lifetime, we actually have that opportunity. Many beings, many rebirths, animals that are born as predators, all sorts, born in an animal realm, any animal realm, then there's very little opportunity to learn kindness. Often there are, guide dogs and companion animals and things like this who do provide us a lot of happiness and care. And but it's more their instinct and the way the opportunities they've had in their lifetime, in that animal lifetime, to be cared for and comforted. And then, of course, they care for and comfort us. But it's not that they can develop their minds thinking about future lives and these sorts of things. So we really have the opportunity. One teacher said, we are a Dharma teacher, obviously, we're the 1.001% that have this opportunity to actually hear these teachings, look at the mind, try to figure out ways to develop our mind, to develop the positive qualities, to counteract the negative qualities of things like anger and impatience. And if we don't use this opportunity, then what are we going to do? If we don't use an opportunity, and then in next lifetime, are we likely to get that opportunity? If we're not familiar with some of these teachings, if we haven't some familiarity with patience and kindness, we will have karma from past lives, of course, but whatever we can take from this life, then this is what we should do. I don't mean take as in take from others. Take from the teachings, from our teachers, their perfect example, and try to develop that in our minds and follow that example, like the Dalai Lama said, to remember him or someone else who represents kindness, to try and remember them when we come to these situations where we get agitated and aggravated. And so if we can do that, then there's benefit to this life, even if it seems difficult now or far away. And, this opportunity we have is so rare when you look at the immeasurable number of living beings, even just on this planet, if you don't want to think about other planets or other realms. So many have so little opportunity, their entire lives taken up with finding a safe place to be, food for the day, somewhere safe to sleep, food for the next day, all this sort of thing. So while we have this opportunity, let's make the best use of it. So we have the karma in this lifetime to meet with certain situations and conditions. And sometimes we wish we didn't meet with them. We wish we didn't have the karma to meet with those particular situations. How we respond to them in this life when we meet them, and while we have some understanding, how we respond is creating the karma for our future lives, and as well as strengthening, the qualities we take to a future life, the conditions that we're going to meet in future lives, we're creating the karma from them, depending on how we respond. If we respond with anger, if we respond with kindness. And so we can also think in this way. It's not just for this life. We're hoping that the things we do benefit us and benefit others, but for ourselves, our own karmic store of positive qualities, positive karma, we're also, when we can respond to situations with that quiet, peaceful, calm mind, tolerance, then this is, creating the virtuous karmic seeds. And hopefully if they're strong enough, then this will lead us to a nice, calm, peaceful life next time. So Rabina once said in a teaching, a bit like if we go to the store and we want a $5 something and we've got $5, we get that thing and we think that's fair. I paid $5, I got $5 worth. If we go to the store and find it's on special, maybe we get a bonus, because when we leave the store, we've got the $5 thing and we've still got $1. And we think, that's great, that was on special. And she said it's a bit like that. So when we leave this lifetime, if we can take with us more virtuous karma, well, we've used the karma to have this lifetime, we need to create more virtuous karma to find suitable conditions in our future lifetimes, conditions to have these sorts of situations where we can we have the leisure to actually choose. There's some time where we can choose what it is we're actually going to do. So we've chosen to come to this teaching today, but, you know, we could have gone to the football, we could have watched whatever mindless thing on TV. So he's suggesting that we can take more with us than when we came into this life. We can have that extra because we've found the bonus. We found the thing on special, the Dharma. And so hopefully we can make that very strong in our minds. So even these small little moments, when there's an opportunity to do something, like Angela taking your sister for a walk and things like that, these kindnesses, you know, that there's some satisfaction from being able to do that, from being able to help those people. I think you are a great kindness to travel all the way over there. But, you know, even the little things that we can do, whatever it is, it can inspire us to keep on going, inspire us to develop more our qualities, our kindness. So the more we become familiar with being kind, the easier it is for us to be kind, to see that people who are unkind towards us, they are suffering. There's, you know, they've got unhappy minds. If we have a mind that's filled with patience and loving kindness, there's not the opportunity for anger to arise. There's no space. If we're patient and we're wanting others to be happy, then there's no opportunity for anger, the wish to harm, to arise because we've got the wish that beings are happy. So that's why the two are considered the complete antidote to anger. The two of them together, it's completely the opposite and doesn't give anger a chance to arise. Of course, that takes you know, a logical mind that can reason and things like that. In the example of your sister, Angela, you know, people with various situations, different illnesses, all sorts of different things, then being able to reason or being able to hold that for a long time, for all of our lifetime, of course, is a very difficult thing. We have to work up to that. But in a situation where we can be patient and the wish that beings have happiness, then just one person having that can make quite a big difference. So this is why we keep trying to strengthen these different positive qualities that the Buddha taught are going to be helpful for us, these virtuous qualities, to develop them. And so we're going to meet that, you know, it said we meet again with the same people again and again in future lifetimes in different sort of situations. Our parents are not necessarily going to be our parents or whatever, but you know, if we can develop a good relationship with them, or at least avoid having a poor relationship with them, you know, then when we meet again, the relationship will be, you know, a kind, positive relationship. So, you know, it's not just about this lifetime. The impacts also travel on to our future lifetimes. So, are there any questions?
I'm just looking at all the faces. Nobody's put their hand up yet.
Okay.
Sure. No.
No. Okay. So, great loving kindness is one of the 6 causes and 1 effect. I'm not sure how many of you have heard of that. So these are 6 qualities that we need to develop, or understandings we need to develop. And the effect is this generating the mind of enlightenment, generating aspiring bodhicitta, the wish to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. So it has these two components, but there are 6 causes and 1 effect, sometimes called sevenfold cause and effect. Either way, it's the same. So the first one is seeing that all beings have been our mother in some past lifetime. If we've had countless past lifetimes and there are countless living beings, we can assume, they say the mother in the teachings, but a parent or someone who's cared for us. Sometimes our parents, our biological parents, can't care for us for many reasons. But there's someone who cared for us because, like I said, there's human babies. If no one cares, there's no baby. So someone, this lifetime and our past lifetimes as humans, but many, many other beings in animal realms are cared for quite a long time by their parents. And I don't know about in America or other, but there are birds, some of the birds here, some of the bigger birds like the kookaburras and magpies, they only raise 1 or very rarely raise 2 chicks a year. And then that chick, when it's an adolescent, is still with the parents and helps with raising the new baby. So they learn about parenting by when they're 1 year old, through that time, help with finding food and whatever for that baby. And it probably works quite well for them because if something happens to one of the parents, they've got this adolescent offsider. And the adolescent is learning how to look after the baby. So even in the animal world, there are, beings being kind for quite a long time in raising their offspring. So that's the first, remembering all these beings have been our mothers. The second is remembering the kindness of mothers or parents, those who care for us for when we're too young to care for ourselves. And then having the wish to repay that kindness. We appreciate when people are kind to us now. We meet up with someone now and they say, oh, come and I'll shout you a coffee, have a cake. And then later on we think, oh, when we see them again, oh, it'd be nice. Let's go and have coffee and cake. That was nice together. I'll shout you this time. I hope shout you makes sense in America. I'll buy it for you. Is that an expression you have? I'll shout you. I don't know. That's what it means anyway. I'll buy you a coffee and cake. So we have the wish to repay the kindness for even simple little things, never mind years of trying to raise us to be a reasonable human being. So this way we can develop this kindness to all living beings, this great loving kindness, not excluding anyone. And then that leads to great compassion, the other side of the coin, wishing that all the living beings be free of suffering. And from that comes what's called special intention or altruistic intention, this wish to help all the living beings, generating that wish in our mind because of the kindness and the compassion. And then the 7th one is that the mind of enlightenment, wishing to achieve full enlightenment. So we have all the capacities of the Buddhas in order to use those to benefit all living beings without exception. So that great loving kindness, we can remember the kindness of others, particularly the ones we know in this lifetime, and then when we're thinking about, well, all living beings have been my carers, my parents, whatever, being kind to me. That's how we can extend it out to the great loving kindness. So I was asked relatively recently to give a talk on something that was going to last for 5 minutes, and then because they got a whole lot of people who agreed to talk, it was only for a few minutes. So we had to submit what something from a text and a prayer. And we had to pick a topic. And so I picked loving kindness. And so instead of me trying to invent a short version of loving kindness, or it was from a text. So a friend of mine got AI to turn out a 3-minute talk on loving kindness. So from the Metta Sutra, Metta's the loving kindness in Sanskrit or Pali or whichever language that is. And so this is what AI came up with. So we're all moving into AI and stuff now. So I thought I'd just share what AI came up with, and you can see if you think it's a good thing or relevant thing. So the Buddha's words on loving kindness. This is what should be done by one who's skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble, not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm, wise and skillful, not proud or demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, smiting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will. Whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be for the sublime abiding, while not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense of desires, is not born again into this world. So there you go, a whole sutra in a couple of minutes. But I was surprised at how much, because I don't know computers much, obviously. It has got the sense, it's got the kernel of if you like, being as probably quite a long sutra of what loving kindness, encapsulates.
Venerable, I really like how it kind of was quite explicit of for the seen, the unseen, those yet born, those here, those there, just going through that list and making them kind of obvious. It's really helpful, isn't it? Because then you start feeling about all these different sections until hopefully we feel like that about all the sections. But I really need it spelt out like that. I find it inspiring.
I thought it was very good. I mean, people might say the Buddha didn't do AI, but
how do we know?
Well, yes, Buddha did a whole pile of other things. He might well have done AI. But I thought it was very nice the way it was sort of pulled together, and so maybe I should aspire to learning more about AI, but I have friends who just do that for me, the AI bit. Yeah, so are there any other questions or comments?
No, everyone's just being fairly attentive. Angela says, I felt a real ease in my body listening to that.
You might have to get Miffy to wipe it out and put it somewhere you can all have a copy of. Or just ask AI. Might do something different next time. I don't know.
Oh, Mary Jo has a question. Yeah.
Hello. Can you hear
Hello?
me?
Yes.
It's not a question really, but it's a comment. Just thank you so much. This has been very lovely. And I haven't, I think, attended this particular thing before. So thank you.
Well, there's probably the previous sessions we did were on anger and patience. So I probably made some reference to those. So I hope it still made some sort of sense to you. And next week we're going to look at forgiveness.
Mm.
So you're very welcome to come along to that as well if you're able.
Oh, thank you. I hope I can. That's a good one. A kind of a biggie, really. Thank you.
Yeah, so I don't know that the thing I read from AI is anywhere except on the email I got from my AI mate. But I'm happy for Mithy to do whatever with it. Don't lose it. That's all. So we've got a meditation now on loving kindness. Now that we've looked at it all with our heads, hopefully the meditation helps us bring that also into the deeper part of our minds. And then at the end of the meditation, I'll read the dedication prayers from Shanti Deva's book, The 9 Verses, because they also have a lot in them that is sort of based on kindness, the wish that beings in different situations achieve what they need to be happy. And so that was what I actually finished up reading, was those 9 verses at this thing I was asked to give a talk on. And the other, that part from AI was left out because there was much less time. Okay, we're all fine to just sit comfortably and relax now. Just letting the body relax, letting go of all thoughts, ideas, and letting your mind relax. Just watching that ebb and flow of your breath. Just breathing in, breathing out. And we can have the motivation that we're doing this meditation for the benefit of all living beings. And that for the duration of our meditation, we'll do our best to keep our attention on the meditation and the wish that it help us with developing our loving kindness. And so we start by generating a feeling of loving kindness in our heart area. So one way to do this is bring to mind someone who you love and you naturally care about and you have good feelings for that person, so that when you meet with them or you talk with them, you have this sense of loving kindness, wanting them to be happy. And you can imagine your loving kindness as a warm, bright light or a gentle, positive energy, whatever that is, developing in your heart area. And so sending that energy then of loving kindness to yourself. Loving yourself means accepting yourself as you are, with your present faults and shortcomings. If we can't accept our own, we'll find it difficult to accept others' faults and shortcomings. And this means being kind to ourselves, being a friend to ourselves rather than being angry or frustrated that we aren't the person we'd like to be. And it also means acknowledging all your positive potential, giving yourself the space to fulfill that potential. Wishing yourself to be happy and free from problems. So really wishing for yourself all the happiness and goodness there is, and imagining that warm energy in your heart radiating out, gradually filling all of your body and mind. And next, generating that loving kindness for your parents or whoever it was that raised you as a child and other family members. Think that maybe my parents, my carers, other members of my family be well. May they be free from problems and sufferings. May they have long lives, good health, all their needs be fulfilled. May they develop themselves spiritually and quickly reach the perfect peace of enlightenment. So if you can, imagine that loving kindness energy radiating out from your heart to each and every member of your family. And then generating loving kindness towards your teachers and other people who've helped you in life. May my teachers and those who've helped me be well and happy, free from problems. May they have long lives and good health with all their needs met. May they develop themselves spiritually, quickly reach the perfect peace of enlightenment. So send that energy of loving kindness from your heart to all these people who've taught you, from those who taught you to read and write, taught you many, many things. Then bring to mind your friends. Generate loving kindness for your friends by thinking, may my friends be well and happy, free from problems, free from suffering. May they have long lives, good health. May they develop themselves spiritually and reach the perfect peace of enlightenment. And imagine that energy of loving kindness radiating from your heart out to your friends. And now see if you can generate loving kindness for the people you have difficulty with. People who may have hurt you, those you dislike, those who try to deceive you, whatever it might be. Think that they also want to be happy and free from problems just as we do. They need and deserve love just as we do. Imagine your positive, loving energy flowing out from your heart to these people wishing them to be free from the confusion, anger, and self-centeredness that drive them to act in the way they do. Really wish them to find peace of mind, happiness, and finally enlightenment. And finally, generate loving kindness for all other living beings, humans and non-humans, such as animals. And you may like to think especially of those who are going through extremely difficult times, such as war, sickness, poverty, hunger, fear, oppression. Think and feel sincerely, may all beings everywhere be well and happy. May they be free from problems, free from suffering. May they have long lives, good health. May all their needs and wishes be fulfilled. May they develop themselves spiritually and quickly reach the perfect peace of enlightenment. Feel that gentle energy of loving kindness radiating out from your heart to all living beings everywhere in the universe. Imagine that it gives them comfort, relieves them of their mental and physical suffering, helps them to experience happiness and peace of mind. And may all beings everywhere plagued by sufferings of body and mind obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of our merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the hopeless find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all the medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power and people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. So dedicate all the positive energy of your meditation to all these living beings that exist, that they may find happiness and ultimately enlightenment. So when you're ready, just slowly open your eyes.
That was really lovely.
Any last minute questions, things you thought about during the meditation instead of the meditation?
This is like the perfect antidote to watching the news.
The news is a bit nuts at the moment, isn't it?
Yes. It's just as vivid and full of you know, activity and people.
Yeah. Maybe a bit kinder, we hope.
So next week,
Forgiveness next week. Has everyone gone to sleep?
no, we're all just sitting there smiling, actually.
I can't see you because I'm technologically incompetent.
Well, thank you, Venerable. We appreciate everything you shared with us tonight.